Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really drilling down into the global seismic survey market.
Yeah.
We've got a brand new 2025 report here, and our mission really is to pull out the most crucial insights.
Exactly. Things like the market size, where it's heading, who the key players are, and, the tech that's pushing it all forward.
So think of this as your fast track to understanding a pretty major global industry.
Right. And this report, it's comprehensive. It looks back a few years, gives estimates for 2025, and forecasts all the way out to 2033.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, regional details, industry segments. It covers the whole subsurface picture, basically. We're here to sort of cut through the noise and highlight what you really need to know.
Okay, let's start with the big picture then. What's the headline number? The global market size for 2025.
It's substantial. The report estimates it at USD 25,640 million for 2025.
25 billion, okay. That's a significant figure. And it's growing, you said.
Definitely growing. The projection takes it up to USD 39,648.74 million by 2033.
Okay, and that works out to what in terms of growth rate?
That's a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 5.60% between 2025 and 2033.
5.6%. That's pretty solid growth.
It is. And the report links it pretty directly to the rising global demand for energy.
Yeah, that makes intuitive sense. More energy needed means more searching for resources, and seismic surveys are, well, fundamental to that search.
Exactly. So where is all this activity happening? Geographically speaking,
Good question. Where's the biggest market right now?
North America. It holds the largest slice of the pie currently, over 37% of the global market.
37%. And the value?
For 2025, it's estimated at USD 486.80 million.
Okay, so North America leads. Is that the fastest growing region too, or?
Good point. It leads in size, but maybe not growth. Its CAGR is projected at 4.1%. Still growing, but let's look elsewhere.
Right. Europe, how does it compare?
Europe's number 2. It holds over 29% of the market share, and its 2025 market size is around USD 435.60 million. The growth rate there is a bit higher, actually, 4.7% CAGR.
Interesting. Does the report break Europe down further?
It does, yeah. You can see figures for the UK, for example, about USD 1,249 million in 2025, growing at 5.5%. France, smaller, around USD 684 million, growing at 3.9%.
And Germany, usually a big player.
Germany is significant, yes.
Yeah.
Estimated at USD 472 million, growing at 4.9%, plus many others contributing to that overall European picture.
Got it. So North America and Europe are the big established markets. What about Asia Pacific? We always hear about growth there.
And you'd be right. APAC holds about 24% of the market now, roughly USD 653.60 million in 2025.
Okay, still behind Europe.
In size, yes.
Yeah.
But here's the key thing, the growth rate. APAC is projected to grow at 8.3% CAGR. That's the fastest globally.
Wow, 8.3%. That's considerably higher than North America or Europe. What's driving that?
A big factor is China. The report flags their push for energy security leading to increased seismic activity.
Makes sense. What are their numbers like?
China's estimated at about USD 2,584 million for 2025, with a 7.8% CAGR. But it's not just China.
Right.
India's growth is even faster, actually, at
True.
10.2% CAGR. Their 2025 market is smaller, around USD 615 million, but that growth rate is impressive.
10%, yeah.
And then you have Japan, South Korea, Australia, Southeast Asia. They're all contributing to this really dynamic picture in APAC.
So the takeaway is North America leads now, but Asia Pacific is catching up fast.
That's a good way to put it. The growth disparity is quite significant. It signals a potential shift over the next decade.
Okay, that covers the big three regions. What of the others? South America, Middle East, Africa, are they significant?
They're smaller pieces of the pie, but still important. South America has over 4% share, about USD 974 million in 2025. Its growth is decent, 6.3% CAGR.
And any specific drivers there?
Interestingly, the report mentions Brazil's growth partly linked to railway projects, so infrastructure-related surveys.
Oh, okay. Not just energy.
Not exclusively, no. The Middle East is similar in size, also around 4% share, maybe slightly larger, at USD 425 million in 2025. And their growth is strong too, 6.9% CAGR.
Nearly 7%. Anything notable there?
Yeah, Turkey's growth is specifically linked to using more ocean-bottom seismic or OBS technology.
Yeah, but yes, right. And Africa.
Africa's the smallest, around 2.2% share. That's about USD 564 million in 2025, growing at 5.9% CAGR.
Okay.
And Nigeria's growth is highlighted, driven by technological advancements being adopted there.
It's really interesting how these regional nuances pop up. Okay, let's shift gears. The report breaks the market down by like components, right? Hardware, software, services.
Yes, exactly. Hardware, software, and services. And there's a very interesting trend here.
Which is?
Software. It's identified as the fastest growing segment, and it's actually projected to become the largest segment overall.
Software takes the lead. I guess that fits the digital trend, but how does that play out in seismic surveys specifically?
Well, think about the sheer volume of data these surveys generate. It's massive.
Right.
So software is absolutely critical for everything. Designing the surveys 2D, 3D, even the more complex 4D imaging.
40 being changes over time.
Exactly, monitoring reservoirs, then processing all that raw data, often in real time, and finally interpreting it to actually understand what's down there. And things like cloud computing and high-performance computing, HPC, basically supercomputers. They're enabling much more sophisticated analysis than ever before.
So the software is getting more powerful, handling more data?
Precisely.
Yeah.
There's an example in the report, Shearwater Geoservices doing a 2D survey in India for their national seismic program. All that data needs powerful software to make sense of it.
Okay, software is key. What about the services segment?
Services also growing fast and is very significant. This is the actual doing part of the survey.
The field work.
Yeah, the field work, putting the sources out there to create the sound waves, deploying the sensors, the geophones or hydrophones, to listen for the echoes.
Right, the boots on the ground.
Exactly. Yeah. But it also includes the expert data processing and interpretation services.
Right.
So it combines the physical operations with the specialized brain power needed for oil and gas, mining, infrastructure projects, all of that.
Okay, that makes sense. The tech and the expertise combined. Now, how are these surveys actually applied? The report mentions land, marine, and airborne.
That's right. Land surveys are currently the largest share.
Okay.
This covers your traditional 2D and 3D mapping, but also that 4D monitoring we mentioned, which is super important for managing resources effectively over the long term.
And that helps reduce drilling risk, right? And improve safety.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Better understanding means fewer wasted drill holes and better planning around potential hazards.
And airborne. You said that was growing rapidly.
Definitely. Airborne is really taking off, you could say.
Huh.
Using specialized aircraft with sensors, you get some big advantages. You can cover huge areas quickly, even places that are really difficult to access on the ground.
Less environmental impact, too, I imagine.
Generally, yes, compared to ground crews cutting lines. It's faster, often cheaper for large areas, and it's proving useful not just for oil and gas, but also for minerals, geothermal energy.
Any examples?
Oil India Limited, using aerial surveys in some really challenging regions is mentioned. It's like getting a quick, high-level X-ray of the Earth's crust.
Great analogy. Okay, so who is actually using this technology? The end-use industries.
Well, no surprise, the oil and gas sector is the biggest user. It holds the largest share.
Yeah, that figures.
They've relied on seismic for decades for exploration, managing reservoirs, and enhanced oil recovery, EOR, to maximize production.
And technology is improving things there too. AI, machine learning.
Yes, absolutely. AI and machine learning are being integrated to analyze the data more effectively, improving accuracy, finding subtle traps maybe missed before. India's National Seismic Program, completing its 2D data acquisition phase, shows how vital this still is for finding traditional resources.
Okay, so oil and gas dominates, but you mentioned metal and mining earlier as a fast-growing area. Why is that?
Right. In mining, finding ore bodies, especially ones hidden deep underground, is the challenge. Drilling blindly is incredibly expensive.
So seismic offers a better way.
It offers a more cost-effective, less invasive first look. You can use seismic waves to differentiate between different rock types, identify geological structures like faults that might control where minerals are located.
So it helps target the drilling much better.
Exactly. Better targeting, better mine planning, improved safety by understanding the rock structures. It's becoming increasingly important for modern mining operations.
Interesting how the applications are broadening. What does the report say are the main things driving this whole market forward?
The core drivers are pretty clear. First, the ongoing need for oil and gas exploration globally.
Okay.
Second, all the tech innovations we've talked about, 4D imaging, AI, machine learning, they make surveys more powerful and efficient.
Right.
And third, the increase in offshore exploration activities as finding new, easily accessible onshore reserves gets harder.
Makes sense. What about the brakes, though? Any restraints holding the market back?
The report points to two main ones. First, the high operational cost. These surveys involve expensive equipment, specialized ships or planes, large crews. It's not cheap.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And second, finding enough skilled people. You need experts to plan the surveys, run the equipment, and crucially interpret the incredibly complex data that comes back. There's a bit of a skills gap.
High costs and skilled labor shortages, those are common challenges. What about emerging trends, things just starting to shape the future?
Two stand out. One is the growing use of seismic for geothermal energy exploration. As we look for clean energy, understanding subsurface heat sources is key.
Geothermal, right. And the second?
Advancements in autonomous seismic nodes. These are like small, self-contained sensors you can deploy in huge numbers and leave out for long periods.
Ah, like set and forget sensors.
Sort of, yeah. They collect data continuously without needing constant cable connections or maintenance. It promises much greater efficiency and denser data coverage, especially in difficult terrains.
That does sound potentially game-changing. Okay, last big area the company's involved. Who are the main players?
It's a competitive field, as you'd expect. You have big global corporations and more specialized regional players.
Any familiar names?
Oh, yeah. The report lists key players like Schlumberger, now SLB, Baker Hughes, Fugro, Geotech, CGG, ION Geophysical, PGS, Sercel, Western Geico, many of the big names in energy services and geoscience.
Right, a lot of established heavyweights. Are they just competing or is there collaboration too?
There's actually quite a bit of collaboration, which is interesting. For instance, Schlumberger, SLB, joined something called Versal.
Versal.
Yeah, it was started by PGS, TGS, and CGG. It's basically a unified cloud platform to make accessing different companies' seismic data libraries easier. Kind of like data sharing, simplified.
That makes sense for users.
Definitely. TGS and SLB are also working together on a big project in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico using that ocean bottom node tech we mentioned.
Okay.
CGG and TGS have a long-standing partnership for providing integrated solutions, and we're seeing seismic use beyond energy too.
Like what?
The British Geological Survey is using seismic data to update hazard maps for things like offshore wind farms and carbon capture sites.
Ah, carbon capture and storage, CCS.
Exactly. And Shearwater Geoservices actually won a contract specifically for a CCS survey in the East Irish Sea, so the applications are definitely expanding.
It really paints a picture of a dynamic market, constantly evolving. Okay, let's try to wrap this up. If you had to boil down the key takeaways from this 2025 report for our listeners, what would they be?
I'd say first, this is a big multi-billion-dollar market that's definitely growing, pushed by energy needs, but also really boosted by tech advancements.
Right.
Second, while North America leads in size, keep a close eye on Asia-Pacific for the fastest growth. Third, software is becoming incredibly central to unlocking the value of seismic data. And finally, the use cases are expanding beyond just oil and gas mining, geothermal, infrastructure, even CCS are increasingly important areas.
That's a great summary. It really highlights how crucial understanding what's beneath our feet is becoming for, well, almost everything related to energy, resources, and even managing climate impacts like carbon storage.
Absolutely.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Given how much we increasingly depend on knowing about the subsurface, how might these continuous leaps in seismic survey technology change things? Could they move beyond just informing industries and actually fundamentally reshape our whole relationship with the Earth's hidden layers?
That's a profound question. It really makes you think about the future possibilities.
It certainly does. Thanks for joining me for this really insightful deep dive.